Hey everybody, it's Mr. Pagan again. I'm back with an update on our 29-gallon saltwater aquarium build. So I've been doing some tests. I've been keeping up with I do a water quality test every 2 to 3 days. The first couple of days I was getting the same measurements, and I'll show these to you now. So as you saw, not too many differences until about a couple of days ago, where I started to notice that I was getting a brown film on top of the white sand of my aquarium. So I decided to do a quick ammonia test, and it appears that we are getting our ammonia spike. So it's totally normal for an aquarium to get a spike of ammonia while that beneficial bacteria is setting up in the aquarium. So the ammonia in the aquarium will spike up, but it should in the next couple of days start turning into that nitrites and nitrates. And after a while, the ammonia will go back down to zero, and then we will see the accumulation of the nitrites and the nitrates, and then we can remove those with continuous water changes. So I have already set up 3 of my test tubes. I'm going to be doing 4 separate tests. I'm going to be testing the nitrite, the pH, the ammonia, and the nitrates that are present in our new saltwater aquarium. So I've already set up 3 of the test tubes, and I'm going to show you how to set up that last one. First, I want you to note that I've already rinsed this test tube out right before we started recording the video. So the test tube is clean. It's been recently rinsed, but it's been rinsed with tap water. So tap water, as you know, is very different from the water that we have in there. That water's been cycling for two weeks. It has our salt already added and our water conditioner to remove the chlorine. So we have to make sure that we rinse the test tube with salt water from our tank to make sure that the only water present in the test tube is salt water. To do that, and it's the sample water that we're going to be testing. To do that, I have a dropper that I'm going to take my sample out from the water. I'm going to show you right here in my tank real quick. I'm just going to grab a little bit of water from my tank. And now that I have the water from my tank in my test tube, it's not measured, doesn't have the correct measurement in there. There's not 5 milliliters. I'm just rinsing it out. So that now I have rinsed with my aquarium water. It's the same water that I'm going to be sampling and testing. And now I come back and grab some more. You'll notice that this test tube has a line that measures exactly 5 milliliters of water, and you want your water to be right there. Now, you're going to see that your water is actually going to create a half bubble at the top, and the part of that half bubble, or the meniscus as a scientist like to call it, that you want to be on the line is the bottom. So when you see that bubble form at the top of your water, you're going to make sure that the bottom of the bubble is touching the line. So I have a little bit more of my sample water. We're going to make sure that we're looking at it right where that line is so that we can tell when we are right above the line. So actually measured a little bit too much, so I'm going to pour some of that out. Perfectly fine if you get a couple of drops out. And I'm going to measure again because I don't want too much water. It could give me less than what I really want to see. Or it can show me a higher concentration because the tests are set up for a specific amount of water. So make sure that those measurements are accurate, and you'll get accurate results when you're doing your test. So now that I have all 4 of my test tubes filled to that 5 milliliter line, I can complete all of my tests in one go. Each one of my tests has different instructions and different amounts that you need to add. I'm using an API Saltwater Master Test Kit, which includes the 2-bottle nitrate solution, 2-bottle ammonia, the nitrite, and the high range pH. Since we're working with a saltwater aquarium, the regular pH scale for the regular test will not measure the pH that's present in ours. So we have to use high range pH when we're testing for saltwater aquariums. So we're going to start with that one. It's the simplest one. For when we're testing for high range pH, we add 5 drops of the solution, mix it a little bit, and we measure and compare with our color chart that's right here. So high range pH, we're always going to turn the bottle completely upside down so that those drops are complete uniform when they're dropping. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we have 5 drops. You put this here, and put this back. We have our stopper here. Place that stopper in there, and we shake. Now our aquarium water should be around 8 to 8.2, 8.3 if we have corals. So we're looking for a color around this type of purple, burgundy-ish type color. Once you get that, you're going to compare the color using the white column in between each one of your color charts. There is a white area. You can put your test tube against that white area so you have a white background and it doesn't alter your color, and then you can measure and you can compare. Right now that's an 8.0. Again, that's an 8.0 pH value there. Now, our next step is ammonia. So we're going to use this yellow ammonia test solution. There's 2 of them. So we're going to add first number 1 and second number 2. Pretty easy to remember, right? And on the bottle it'll tell you how many drops you need to add. There's certain procedures with some, so I definitely recommend that you read the instructions if you don't have this video available when you're testing, to make sure that you're using the procedure that's correct for the type of test you're doing. So again, we're using the ammonia. They're the 2 yellow bottles. We're going to use number 1 first. It's right here. We're going to uncap test bottle number 1. We're going to use a new test tube. Obviously we can't use the same one we used for pH. We're going to go ahead and drop 8 of these drops into our test tube. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, so we know how to count. Feels a bit like Sesame Street, right? All righty, so 8 drops, but we're not done yet. We have another bottle here. So we need to add, and this one is just a straight add. So we add the 8 from that one, we uncap bottle number 2, and we add 8 drops from bottle number 2. So here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. If you were bad at math, don't worry, you won't have to count more than to 10. So we have both bottles in there, 8 drops of each. We're going to give it a good shake for about 5 to 10 seconds. Make sure that that's nice and mixed up. And there we go. This is our ammonia test. We want that to be yellow. Yellow means 0 parts per million on our ammonia test. I highly doubt that we're going to get that color today. But we do have to wait for for the color to develop about 5 minutes. So we're going to leave that one there, and we're really not going to measure that one until we're done with all the rest. So since we need to wait, we can continue with our next test. I'm going to go ahead and start our nitrite test. We want that blue color on our strip. We always want the nitrites to be 0. I'm hoping for some color in the nitrate test because that means that the nitrates are starting to rise and this cycle is finally starting to be created in my new tank. I can remove nitrates by doing water changes, but ammonia is harmful a lot quicker to your fish. So we don't want any ammonia at all before we add our fish. So we've already started to get some green color, which is not a good omen. But again, we'll leave it there so that we measure it completely. Let's go ahead and test nitrites. And for nitrites, we're going to use this pink bottle. Lets us know we need to just add 5 of these. Pretty simple, just like pH. It's just one bottle. So we're going to completely upside down and we're going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops. All right, we got 5 drops exactly. We're going to cap our test solution. We're going to cap our test tube. We are going to mix. And we're also going to give this some 5 minutes so that that color develops. And we're going to wait the 5 minutes. We're going to test after the 5 minutes. But that bluish color is the color we want. It's the color of 0 parts per million on nitrite. So we're seeing some good things there. Ammonia keeps on getting greener, but we'll work with that as we go. So last test tube, this one we're going to test our nitrates. So we are going to use bottle number 1 as we did before. This one asks us to drop 10 drops into our test tube. The second step is a little bit different, so we want to make sure that we follow the instructions again. But our first step is just like the others. We're going to add just 10 drops of this. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, now that we have our solution in, we are going to shake it up for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to leave it here because now we need to grab our bottle number 2 and we need to shake the bottle before we add the 10 drops. We need to shake the bottle for 30 seconds. So while I do that, I'll just give you a quick pause and we'll be right back. Paralo, Dios mío. All right, so shake that up for 30 seconds. Now we uncap our test tube again, drop 10 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Cap our test solution. Place our cap back on our test tube, and now we're going to shake again, and this time it's for a whole minute. So again, I'm going to stop the video here so you don't have to see me doing this for a whole minute, and once we're done, I'll be right back. Alright, so we finished shaking and we waited the 5 minutes for all of the tests to develop, and we're ready to match our test with the different colors on our color chart. So we've already completed the pH. We just need to complete ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. Ammonia, as you can see, is a sad green color. When compared to our color chart, and now we're comparing it against this side, we see that we are sitting steadily at a 1.0 part per million. That means that ammonia is still extremely high, and very harmful to my fish. No fish for Mr. Pagan today. I'm gonna have to wait. Alrighty. But let's continue on and see what our other parameters are doing. We have zero nitrites, obviously because that cycle hasn't started, and we still have zero nitrates. So still waiting for the cycle to start. Again, being a aquarist or an aquarium keeper is a hobby about patience. When we try to go too fast, we risk hurting the animals that we want to take care of. And it's not my purpose as a marine biologist, it's not my purpose as a teacher, it's not my purpose as somebody who shares and loves this hobby to hurt the animals that are under my care. I consider success by the amount of years that my fish survive for, and I plan for my two little clownfish to survive for a very long time, so I'm not going to risk them by putting them in an unhealthy aquarium. So we're gonna wait for a couple of more days. I'm gonna get a couple more things that will help me establish that beneficial bacteria filter. We're gonna get some rocks for the aquarium, and we're gonna get some live rocks for the aquarium. So I'm getting 20 pounds of live rocks soon. We will be making another video for when we add that aquascaping and that hardscaping into the tank. We'll figure out what we're gonna do. We'll see what we see on camera, and after we do that, we will put that hardscape into the aquarium, and hopefully that will help us with this this cycle that we're dealing with right now. So again, the parameters in my aquarium are not safe. We still need to wait. What I will be doing is I will be changing the water of my aquarium. I'm going to do less than a 10%, just to get a little bit of those that bad ammonia out of the tank there, and see if we can help it along. There's a lot of myths about not changing water while you're waiting for your new tank to cycle. But those are just myths. I have done my research, I have reviewed, and I know that it is a little bit more beneficial to actually do the water change than to not. I am not going to be touching the bottom or the sand, the substrate of my aquarium. I'm going to leave that so that the bacteria continue to form. I'm going to just be removing some water from the top of my aquarium and topping it off with some freshly made salt water. So stay tuned, we'll do that video next.